What's up, YouTube? It's Coach Cory. Today I want to talk about the expectations for Brawl Stars. What does Brawl Stars still need to go global, if anything? When could global possibly be? What is the team thinking? Stuff like that. All right, let's get into it. All right, so first off, let's backtrack a little bit to see where we are today. First off, there was that May update that brought in 2 new brawlers, Penny and Frank, Duo Showdown, and a bunch of other like spectating. Really great update. That was in May. And then in June, just a month later, they did another update. But that one, it only had cosmetic stuff. It had basically 4 new skins. So it was 4 new skins in that update. And then about 2 weeks later, Android went live in all soft launch countries. And then about a week, maybe 2 weeks later, the Brawl Stars team went on vacation for about 6 weeks. And just this past week, the team came back from vacation. So I say all this because I want to give some context to where we are today. So the team is back from vacation. So what can we expect moving forward? When do we think there might be balance changes? When do we think global or the next update will happen? Will the next update have global? All right, well, Android has been released in soft launch countries, and you can get around that. You can now download, or you've been able to download Android using a VPN to get around. You don't have to be in that soft launch country. Now, in iTunes, you can also not be in that soft launch country. You can make an account in a soft launch country. So there's 2 ways, both ways you can get around and not have to be in the soft launch country. So you would think, because of stuff like that, the game is somewhat close to global. You would think the next update would probably be global. In my opinion, unless there's some really catastrophic negative sign that the team found while they were away on vacation, that something happened, I still think that global will be the next update. Okay, but when could this update be, right? If it's going to be global, it would be a really big update. You would presume. It looks like from the team, I mean, just knowing Supercell this past year, they're not a quick acting team. They're a cautious, well planned out, well thought out team. So if you're expecting an update within a month or something like that, I would be pretty surprised if the update was that soon. My guess is the next update is at the earliest, probably in 2 months. Now, I do think a balance change could, and in my opinion, probably will happen sooner. My hope is there's a balance change maybe next week or the week after, but it depends. I'm not quite sure what the person who does balance changes is doing. Perhaps they're focusing on other things that get them closer to global instead of balancing the game, and maybe they'll just balance the game once the game goes global, as there will be an update, and there's almost always a balance change when there's an update. But I will say we'll probably get more information from the team soon. About a week ago, when they did say that they were back from vacation, they also said, and I quote, "We're in the planning stages now, and once we've circled up and put some goals together for the next update, we'll be sure to let you know. Stay tuned." So it does look like we're going to get some sort of status update about what the team is thinking on the game, at least sometime soon. My guess is they'll still be really cryptic to some degree about whether global is coming. They might say, though, whether they're feeling good about the last update or whether they're not. And my guess is if they're not feeling good about it, they will let us know. So if they don't say they're not feeling good, it's probably most definitely going to be global in the next update. Right now, what I imagine what they're doing is they're going through all the data that was collected on the game while they're on vacation. They're going to be looking at retention rates for players from all those new countries where it was released. They're going to see, is the early game retention rate strong enough now to go global? That was a really big factor for them as far as delaying the game from going global for such a long time, is that they weren't happy with the early game retention rate. Well, they should have a lot of data from the Android release about how new players are enjoying the game, how long they're staying, where they're leaving the game, at what point, what parts are frustrating them. Are they leaving after, playing a couple showdown games, or are they leaving after 1,000 trophies, 2,000 trophies? What is the average data that they're getting from all those new players? I mean, if we're being honest here, the tutorial for new players is still not very good. It really doesn't cover that much. Brawl Stars is a pretty complex game if you think about how many different things you can do. There's 7 different game modes, and only one of them is explained. Only one of those 7 game modes is explained in the new game tutorial. They do have those tips during matchmaking, but if you're a brand new player, especially once global happens, you're going to be finding matches within a couple seconds. You're really not going to be reading those probably that much. and you might not even be paying attention to them even if you do have the chance to see them. So really, they need a better tutorial. But of course, I think that's probably not a really long-term item. That's probably not an item that's going to take them a ton of time if they really decide to make a much better one. And now part of the reason I wanted to give context was because the last update, it was a mini update, but it only had cosmetic stuff. It didn't have anything like a new brawler, a new game mode, anything like that. So they had a month of work before they went on vacation where they worked on the game. They worked on things that were not skin related. So this is why I think, because they worked on it for that month, a month and a half, this is why I think the next update could be in about 2 months, because they have some work saved up from before vacation. So this next update, it could still come within, 2 months after the vacation, and it could be the equivalent of a normal 3 months of worth of work for Brawl Stars. A lot of times they do like to do updates every 3 months. Well, they could have an update just as big in 2 months as a normal 3 month update, even though they've only been back from vacation right now a week, and it would be a 2 month break. So with that in mind, though, I want to also talk about what else Brawl Stars need, and does Brawl Stars really need any of this stuff to go global, or is it sort of just like wants? Is it sort of stuff that would be nice to have, right? I think there's a lot of ideas around the community about ways we can improve Brawl Stars. There's tons of ideas. I mean, you guys have seen some of my community videos about skins, different ideas, quality of life stuff that the community has suggested, a ton of different great ideas. So there's a lot of ways Brawl Stars can be improved. But what is needed to go global? And let me know what you guys think as well. I mean, what about things like, do you think every brawler needs a skin? Is that something that's needed? I'm not really sure. There's still a decent amount of brawlers. I think maybe about half of the brawlers have skins right now. I don't remember the exact stats on that. But do all of them need skins? Is that necessary for global? Personally, I don't think it's necessary. I think it would be nice. I think as long as you have a decent amount of skins, it's not necessarily important that every single brawler has skins. What about voice acting, though? Does every brawler need voice acting? Now, personally, I've been sort of surprised at how slow they've been to implement voice acting. And I'm not sure whether that's because they just haven't prioritized it or because it's a difficult thing to do. I'm not sure quite what the holdup is. I know they don't do the voice acting themselves. They outsource that, but they do have to choose, which voice acting they want, and they have to make up the lines. They have to do stuff like that, and, they got to implement it into the game as well, of course. But I'm surprised it's taken as long as it has. So I'm not sure if they're going to, key in on adding that in before global or not. It would, of course, I think adding the voice acting is a little bit more important than adding the skins, but I'm not quite sure what their thought is. I think one thing that would be important to address is some of the lag issues in the game currently. I really think, now of course, going global will solve this a little bit because instead of being matched with players on the other side of the world and being on their server, you'll be more likely to be matched with players on your side of the world. You'll be on a server closer to you. But they do need more servers, in my opinion, especially once global happens. If the game goes global and there's still a good amount of lag issues, it will be really bad for Brawl Stars, in my opinion, and it will be a bad first impression. Lag is always a really key reason why people leave games. It's just a really frustrating way to play the game. Anything where you lose a game and it's outside of your control, that's always a really frustrating thing. So they definitely need to make sure they fix any sort of lag issues with the game before they go global, or at the least once they go global. What about like new brawlers or new game modes? Are those needed for global? In my opinion, I don't think new brawlers are needed for global. I mean, if you're a brand new player, you're not really going to care if there's 21 or 22 or 23 brawlers. That's not very important. If you're an existing player, you'll probably care a lot if there's a new brawler, as that's, going to make the game that much more exciting. New game modes, I think it could be. I mean, you can't really go wrong with a new game mode. I would rather than prioritize a much better tutorial than add in another thing that players are going to have to figure out how to understand by themselves. Now, I mean, of course, they can go look at YouTube videos on that, and I mean, hey, I wouldn't mind, but I don't think that would be best for the game's success. There are two things I think would be really important for Brawl Stars that Brawl Stars is still really, really lacking. I'm not sure if they're 100% needed for global, though. I think both of these things could come either in the update after global or maybe 2 updates after global, but they're definitely needed in the game for long-term success. The first one is Endgame Incentives. there's really almost no reason at all to push any of your brawlers past 500 trophies right now. And you're seeing a lot of top players just get, once they get their brawlers past 500 and they've been there for a little bit of time, they get really bored with the game. There's really not much to do. If there's competitive leagues going on, that they can play that, and that's one reason to keep playing. But that doesn't apply to that many of the top players, or that many people who have brawlers over 500. There's really not much to do. I mean, sure, there's those rewards for reaching those trophy goals every 500 trophies, but you get coins, and almost all those people are max. And the amount of coins you get is also not even that much. Once you're a max, once your account is max, you get a lot of coins from just one brawl box. So you really don't need coins at all once you're basically are max and you have all your brawlers max. It's just not very important. So they really need to work on endgame incentives. It's very lacking in that regard right now. It's not needed for global, though. Of course, it will take people a long time to get there, so it's definitely not needed for global, but I do think it's needed 1 or 2 updates after global. And what about this other thing? This is sort of another way around that could provide something for players to do besides playing ladder. They need something band related, in my opinion. Some sort of reason to actually be in a band besides just playing with your bandmates. I mean, you don't even have to play with your bandmates these days. You can just have a really long friends list and not be in a band at all and just play with your friends list. If you have a friend list full of 200 people and it's somewhat active, I mean, you can't have 200 people in a band, so you're probably going to have more luck playing with them anyways. So they definitely need some sort of way to get some sort of band activity, whether it's like a band chest like they do in Clash Royale, something like that, whether it's possible to do something like band wars. I don't know what exactly that would look like. I did talk about that in a video where someone had an idea for band wars. If you want to go check that out, I'll just put a link above. But they definitely need some sort of thing for bands to do something together, to make a real reason to be in bands besides just talking to people and playing with people, which you can already do from your friends list anyways. But alright guys, that's pretty much going to be it for today's video. I mean, basically I'm expecting probably a balance change maybe in a week or 2, that's my hope. And then I'm expecting an update maybe in around 2 months, could be 3 though, you never know. But hopefully we hear a status update from the team soon. But alright guys, that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later.